Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And in this one, we're going to be breaking down every change and improvement that is coming for PvP in patch 12.1. So I logged on the PTR and I tested with some of my viewers the new feature that they are focusing on, which is basically playing against bots in the arena. This is supposed to be an onboarding experience that trains players in a less stressful environment. And I actually agree that it's very important. The first thing that's amazing about this feature when you queue into it is that it's going to just give you 2 PvP trinkets right off the rip. This is absolutely fantastic because if you don't know, in PvP, there's a set bonus for wearing 2 PvP trinkets that gives you 12% intellect and 10% stamina. If you're missing that, you're going to be pretty useless when you step into PvP for the first time. So jumping into this testing mode for the first time, you're immediately going to be getting those trinkets and getting that set bonus, and it gives you a quest directing you to equip them in order to complete during the event itself against the bots that are in this arena match. So great, right off the rip, that is a great onboarding experience to get people into PvP. The trinket bonus is not meant to gatekeep people from PvP. It's just meant to facilitate so that the PvP trinkets are better than the PvE trinkets. But I don't think it should gatekeep PvEers from jumping in. So I think this is great, just as an entry-level thing to move into the fight. My experience with this playing against the bot feature was that the bots are actually very good. The bots will jump around. They perform almost as if they are players. They activate cooldowns. They cast spells. They interrupt you at varying levels. They don't just instant kick you like the Battleground bots. These bots in the arena are actually a lot more thorough than the bots in the Battlegrounds. They do like a full rotation. You can see Colossus smash on my character. The Warrior's blade storming. He's thunderclapping. Blade of Justice, like stuns, full rotation. They function exactly like a class. And I actually found it to be a really good experience for just, you could get in here, test your abilities, see how it goes, test the pacing of your talents. If you wanted to try something as an experiment as well, even if you're not a new player, just coming into this as like a warm-up is really good as well, so you don't have to risk any of your rating. My main problem with it at the moment is that you do have to queue with a pre-made group. You need 2 other players in order to queue this mode. I really don't like that. I think you should be able to queue by yourself and also queue with a group, because obviously if maybe 2 friends are bringing somebody new into arena and they want to teach them how to play the game, I actually think this is a really good place to do it. It's an incredibly good place to do it, to bring them in and teach them how to play. But at the same time, if you're just a solo player and you don't have any friends, or somebody's not introducing you to the game, you might struggle to be able to even form a group, and I think that it's not going to get used that much if you really do that. Now, I was trying to put these bots through their paces as like a multi-rank 1 level player. I wanted to see, like, can I drop these bots? And they're actually very hard to take out. A lot of the matches that I tested in this, I mean, it took multiple minutes. Most of the time, I had to run the healer out of mana. Now, do note that I am 2 versus 3 in the bots, because my friend here is helping me out get the queue times. Again, this is the issue of not being able to solo queue it by yourself. He was multi-boxing and had 2 accounts of the PTR. So we're 2 versus 3 in the bots. So it is going to take a little bit longer to kill them. But at the same time, playing against the bots, if this is anything like what the pacing is actually going to be like, there was no one-shots. A lot of the times you're spending more time below 100% health. I felt like the pacing, like if this pacing is at all even close to what the pacing is going to be like with actual players, is that it's significantly improved, which is something that was one of their main goals for patch 12.1 for improving, I think, both PvE and PvP, is reducing the effectiveness of cooldowns, increasing stamina, lowering healing a bit so that you spend more time below 100%, but not just instantly dead, right? Like at this moment in time, like their team's all 50% health, I'm 50% health. This type of HP pacing makes the game feel more intense. It makes it feel like there's something building, there's momentum going into the match, and you're building towards something, as opposed to sitting at 100% health, clenched, waiting for the one-shot cooldown that's going to come and just take your entire HP bar in 0.1 seconds. That's very anxiety-inducing, intense, and very frustrating relative to the potential gameplay that they are aiming for 12.1, which I got to kind of debut in this playing against the bot session. So I think they've improved this a lot. I think it had a lot of bugs initially on, and they've responded to actually a significant amount of feedback with regards to the arena training grounds. My only remaining pieces of feedback would be, I think you should be able to solo queue it, and if anything, it gives you 2 bots to play with. So you can just play completely by yourself. You don't have anybody on your team, because some players might actually lose to these bots. Like, these bots are kind of getting me low. Now we're 2 versus 3 in the bots, but these bots could actually probably be pretty challenging. It does scale your item level, so you can just jump right in regardless. If you're just a beginning player at all, equip those trinkets, get the bonus, and there you go. You're ready to go. I think it's a really good onboarding experience. Just wish that you could solo queue for it and give you bots. The other thing that I was testing it for was the possibility of potentially introducing these bot healers into solo shuffle at lower ratings. Because I think as a new player, one of the biggest turnoffs is long queue times. Number one, it's just a long queue time and you can't play. And then number two, you're spending more time sitting in queue than actually developing your skills. So if a queue went 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it gives you both teams AI healers. You can just jump in and get gameplay right away. Because I could not tell that this priest bot was a bot outside of like some very niche situations, like a solar beam. Sometimes they wouldn't move, but they're positioning like, relative to what a low rated or a new player might actually be able to do as far as performance, I really couldn't tell the difference. I think that they could actually substitute as a healer at lower ratings and give, beginning players 1500 rating and lower instant queues in order to facilitate more gameplay for beginning players so they get more practice, so they get better at the games. Because I do think that this healer bot is actually good enough to facilitate growth in a player's skill and can assist with queue time. So I really like to see those two things. Solo queue for this testing mode and potentially introducing these AI healers at lower ratings. I think at higher ratings, you're going to compromise the integrity of the competition. But as far as building a better on-ramp experience for new players, I think giving lower rated players these in shuffle would be fantastic. Just for lowering the queue time, people log in, because I could not tell the difference. If you didn't tell me that was a bot, I could almost not tell the difference. And now the DPS maybe a little bit more because their positioning was a little bit more strange, especially if you're not just only attacking in the middle of the map for the entire match. It gets a little bit more questionable. But some of the other changes that are coming for 12.1 is that they are reducing the effectiveness of snares. Thank God, finally. This happened in Battle for Azeroth. Basically, in Legion, they decided, snares above 50% are kind of bad for the game when they're permanent duration. So we're going to nerf all the snares. But then in Battle for Azeroth, they changed their philosophy and thought that, we're not going to do any PvP specific changes. It's just the game is the game, because that's how it used to be, and people liked the game back then. So we'll try that. So they reverted all those nerfs to the snares, and then now we have like Giga 90% snares. You're RP walking in Warsong Gulch trying to catch up to the flag carrier, and you're not able to move. So they are finally nerfing all of the snares. So you can see, like, even against this play against the bot test, like, I didn't notice that I was walking through molasses or walking uphill both ways in a snowstorm or something like that. So I felt like that was great. That's an amazing change to finally nerf those snares in both arena as well as battlegrounds. It's going to help out with class balance as well with some of the specs that are the most egregious, and they're looking at a lot of those. They're rebalancing, retooling, updating spells for classes that players had a lot of feedback around, like Survival Hunter and Hunter in general, with things like Scattershot, Shadow Priest's damage output, Boomkin's damage output. I actually was enjoying Boomkin a lot just amongst these testing phases that I was doing. You can see that the bots do have some issues. If you hide in a corner, the bots don't exactly know how to get to you. Now, obviously, I don't think someone using this for actual purposes of testing is necessarily going to do this. It's kind of just funny to watch how they react when you just kind of like hide in a corner and don't do anything. But the class changes look fantastic as far as addressing feedback and pain points for a lot of them. The pacing, if it's anything like this playing against the bots, I think is actually going to be very good, which was surprising because it's very tough to actually get a lot of public testing on this PTR patch when it comes to PvP. The other concern is that MMR, and this has been like the biggest issue with PvP's retention for like the past 3 years, is that right now MMR is great. I see everybody on Twitter posting they're hitting their new all-time highs. They're getting the Gladiator mount. The Gladiator mount's the most accessible that it's ever been right now in Season 1. However, at the start of a new season, they usually reduce MMR. And you kind of have to reduce it a bit. Otherwise, people would just infinitely scale. It'd be like 5K rated, right? You have to reduce it a bit. But normally it gets sledgehammer reductions to it. So you might be playing 500 to 800 rating lower than you were the previous season. Just 1 week went by and now suddenly you're playing 500 rating lower. That causes people to quit. You cannot do that. You cannot sledgehammer nerf the MMR down 500 to 800 rating. Maybe you could slip at 100, maybe 200. Even then, I think people are going to be disgruntled if you lower their benchmark for where they're expecting to play, because they just hit that rating in the last season. They think that they are that level of player. If you lower MMR too harshly, they're gonna become self-conscious. They're not gonna like that. They're not gonna like that. So for me, that is a major thing, because right now a lot of new people are trying PvP at the end of the season. I think a lot of people are. I'm seeing lots of people are like, PvP for the first time, so happy I got the elite set, it's great. And they're actually having fun and they're enjoying the game, which is exactly what it was supposed to be like, at the start of the season. But MMR was very significantly reduced. We managed to iterate enough public feedback to get it buffed up, and now we are where we are, and people are actually having a good time. They're having fun. They've been making some ongoing class tuning tweaks as well. I'm enjoying playing on the ladder. The things that I'm annoyed about right now in season 1, they're nerfing things like the snares and the one shots. They're looking at addressing that. So to me, it's like the game is moving in a really good direction in that regard. So it's just about getting new people in, making their experience good. And they have said in interviews with Ian Hazacostas that they are looking to increase the visibility of rewards that come from PvP, which absolutely needs to happen, because a lot of the rewards, you can't track them anywhere on achievements. There's no renown track. I think back in War Within, they introduced renown tracks to raiding, which gave you this outline of like what to expect as far as what rewards you were going to get week to week. Having something like that for PvP would be great, because you just log in and be like, okay, if I get to this level, I'm going to get these transmogs, or I'll get this mount, or I get that, and you can see everything placed out like that. As opposed to, you have an elite PvP vendor that you might not know the location of because you never PvP'd before, that has a bunch of cool transmogs on it, but you didn't know it existed, so you don't know where to go, and now you just don't even know what exists, right? Or the weapon illusion that you can't see anywhere. It's just, if you PvP, you know that it's in the game, and you can get it at a certain rating cutoff, but in the game itself, there's no way to know that it's there if you've never done it before. So there's a lot of rewards that are completely invisible, because right now, the main incentives for PvP are rewards and fun, right? And for a lot of people, they play the game for the rewards. They want to try and get a checklist of all the mounts, checklist of transmogs, whatever it is. So if they don't know that there's a mount or know that there's a transmog, it's not going to go on their checklist. It's not on their radar to do it or to try to attempt to do it. And those are some major issues as far as regards to getting new people to try it, and also retaining players over the long term, because obviously I think like Shuffle and Battleground Blitz, they should have their own mounts, even if they're just recolors of the Gladiator mounts. I think that having a separate mount for those modes for players, because a lot of players, they just don't have time to form a team anymore. They just play the solo modes. I feel like they should get something. I don't know if it will actually happen, because one of the things that I have observed over time at the moment, and this was most notable with Plunderstorm, when Plunderstorm came out, they're like, here's a new PvP Battle Royale mode, and they had this little caveat at the end that was like, you don't have to PvP. We've designed it so you can land and just attack monsters and then complete it. And it's kind of like, why would you do that? You've just hyped up this really cool new PvP thing that you're introducing, and then this little caveat at the end is because I think there's a sizable amount of people who get upset whenever there's something cool from PvP, and then they're going to have to do it. And it seems like they're very worried about that audience becoming upset. So if they add 2 new mounts to Shuffle and Blitz, is that audience going to get upset or not? Which to me is ultimately, that's going to hold PvP back a lot, if that is the reasoning for not wanting to add a new mount to those given modes or not, because that's obviously going to be very debilitating, because that would drive up participation a lot. Oh, it's sick, 2 new mounts to go after. But I do think that these mounts need to be more attainable than they have, and that's mostly due to MMR restrictions, which I just talked about. The MMR cannot get sledgehammered. It needs to be remaining significantly high, so people get in and they're not immediately judged by the game and feeling like they're bad. Like, just making them feel like they're actually making progress, able to actually achieve and get to these specific rewards is very important, I think, for introducing new players, PvE players, whoever it may be. But I found that this play against the bot feature was really good. Be nice if there was more classes. I've noticed it seems like there's only 4 specs, Holy Priest, Ret, Warrior, and Hunter at the moment, but they do everything that the classes would regularly do. They activate cooldowns, they CC, they interrupt, they kite and run away. They do pretty much everything that you would want to have done to be able to learn, but you can't solo queue it. I do wish if there was a few more specs added to it. It's a lot more robust than the initial testing that I had done for it. It seemed like you couldn't even queue for it for the most part. You had to queue a weird way of queuing specifically for it. So it has improved a lot since the beginning. It looks very positive at this point. I think the only statement that I've heard so far that is kind of drawing into question a lot, I even saw it on the Bellular video, which is kind of like Ian said, we want to invest more into PvP, but the audience is there, so it's got to grow before we can invest in it. And you can interpret that statement multiple ways. I think most people are interpreting it negatively, and it's kind of hard not to. But it could be interpreted as, we're doing these things to try and grow it, and if it does, then we can put more into it kind of deal. So I think that's the goal, is to try and grow it, which is why I'm making these videos talking about these improvements that they are making to show you that, you know, the game is worth coming back to, or worth trying as a new player, and what further things could be done in order to make the experience better for a returning or a new player in that situation. But I think 12.1, given off this testing, is like, this is the patch to come back. I think a lot of the frustrations that I've personally had, or that I've seen a lot of players have, are being addressed. I really like the, just give them the trinkets, you just queue it one time, you get your PvP trinkets, you're ready to go, so you're not getting stomped without understanding. I like that it gives you a quest to do that as well. It would be nice if it give you maybe more quests than just that, to like teach you like how to trade cooldowns. Like, hey, if use a defensive cooldown in this game, or use a crowd control in this game on the enemy healer, or something like that. Just like training elements of quests in these AI modes to teach people, because those are the distinct differences between PvP and PvE, although there are a lot of similarities, right? Like, you learn the mechanics of the Ret Paladin bot, it's going to be the same as the mechanics of the Ret Paladin player, other than the player can choose when to activate them. But regardless, I just wanted to share this because I was actually surprisingly excited about what I experienced with it, and what I saw with it, given how limited the testing has really been at this point. And there's a lot of just really good additions across the board for it. So I'm actually very excited for patch 12.1 after seeing this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this breakdown to what's going on with 12.1. Thank you guys very much for watching, as always, and I will see you in the next one.